I'd like to call the December 5th meeting of the West Des Moines City Council to order and invite you all to stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, please sign in.
Five members present.
Okay, have there been any changes to the agenda?
No changes, Your Honor.
Okay, hearing none, can I get approval of the agenda as distributed?
Approve.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded. Please vote.
Five yes.
Okay, item 2, Citizens Forum. This is a time for anybody in the audience that would like, or online, that would like to address the City Council on any item that is not either part of new business or public hearings. If you're here in the chamber and like to address the City Council on any item, please come up to the podium here, give us your name and address for the record. I'd ask that you keep it to 5 minutes or under, and please keep it civil and respectful. Anybody online that would like to address the council, please hit *6 to unmute yourself and give us your name and address for the record. Is there anybody that would like to address the council on Citizens Forum? Come on up, MJ.
Hello. I'd like to talk about item 4S on the consent agenda. MJ Hogue, 413 2nd Street. So item 4S is to authorize the purchase of a house on 6th Street with the intent to demolish it and turn it into a parking lot. So Tesca, the consultant for the historic West Des Moines master plan, did a parking study about a year ago and concluded we don't have a parking problem in the junction. They further expanded on that in the July meeting of the historic West Des Moines master plan steering committee and said, based on the need generated by the new buildings that were under construction and the maximum density that they calculated as allowed by the design guidelines, we still don't need more parking. And members of city staff even spoke up in that meeting in support of that conclusion. So 4S is simply unnecessary. But I know some people, they see a car in a parking lot and think, well, the parking lot's full. So I'll put the lack of necessity aside for a second. Item 4S reduces the city's housing stock, permanently removing a relatively affordable house from the city. In other words, the proposal is a net loss of affordable housing. Valley Junction is the one walkable neighborhood we have in West Des Moines, and parking lots diminish walkability. They push things farther away, making walking less convenient. They introduce more cars, making walking more dangerous. So 4S reduces neighborhood walkability. To quote SimCity, one of my favorite games, pavement don't breathe, we need trees. A parking lot in this proposed space would almost certainly involve removing a number of existing mature trees from the neighborhood that exist on that lot. So this proposal, above and beyond the general harm to the environment that a parking lot causes, additionally harms the environment. Buying houses to turn into parking also takes property that contributes to our tax revenue and converts it into a perpetual cost. So you'd be turning a revenue source into a cost center. So this proposal also has a net negative on city finances. So to recap, 4S is bad for affordable housing, bad for neighborhood walkability, bad for the environment, bad for city finances. And if that wasn't enough, on top of all of it, the most recent parking study I know of says we don't even need it. So 4S is a waste of our tax dollars, and you should reject it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, MJ. I don't disagree with the parking study. Of course, we have constantly looked at that parking study and agreed that there, according to the consultant, there are sufficient parking down there. That said, we are having a lot of new development down there, and we are certainly keenly aware that we need to accommodate and make sure that there are available parking spaces. So thank you for all your comments, though, and I wouldn't doubt if this item gets pulled for separate consideration, too. So.
I just like to acknowledge that, yes, while there was a consultant that indicated that parking wasn't as, what I would consider, as prevalent as one would think, but we have always said that we would look into parking as it relates to the development, and that we will look for solutions to that. So that has been a goal and a discussion that we have had on this council for quite some time.
Hi,
Jennifer, go ahead.
Jennifer Hampton, 541 16th Street. I basically came here to say exactly what MJ said. But I also I don't know how many times we've asked, if you have a vision for this area, just tell us. Just tell us. Because between Walnut and Elm on 6th Street, yeah, I'm talking to you too, Renee.
Yeah, let's keep it civil and respectful. Like I said before, that applies to everybody who comes up here to speak. And Jennifer, we're responding to, you also believe there's a need for more parking.
No,
Oh,
I
you
am
don't?
not.
Well, a lot of your neighborhood does, so.
Well, you guys didn't.
Anyway, go ahead, Jennifer.
Anyway.
With your point.
Between Walnut and Elm on 6th Street, starting with Walnut, I don't have the house or the lot numbers, but
Okay.
we've got a city-owned property. Then we've got 329 6th Street. Then it's city, an Iowa ministry building, and then city. So I'm just thinking ahead. I'm wondering if that's going to become one gigantic lot, and you're probably eyeballing Iowa Ministry Network as well. So it can be a massive, you're just going to take the transitional district and pave it.
Yeah, we don't think that way. We're just looking at trying to respond and be respectful to some of your neighbors down there that have asked us for additional parking based on some of the development that we've done. We don't have any devious, big master plan to pave all of Valley Junction. We're just trying to respond to.
It could be like another mall, only
No.
outdoors.
We're trying to do what we can to revitalize it and make it the best that we possibly can, but that's not part of the plan.
Okay. I think I had one other
Okay.
point, but I can't think of it right now.
Well, if you do, come back up. We appreciate your comments. Okay, anybody else? Okay, Meredith.
Good evening, Meredith Wells, 138 Fish Street. I am the board president of Historic Valley Junction, also a business owner down there. On behalf of our business owners, we just want to thank everyone who came out for Small Business Saturday since the last meeting. It was probably a record turnout. The chamber, I want to thank them too. I don't know if Catherine or Tom is here, but they helped really kind of boost the area on their social media and through their email as well, so thank you for that. Many saw record numbers for that day. It is single-handedly the largest day that we do in business down there. So just want to thank the community for their support and the city for your support as well too with our small businesses. This is probably one of the last meetings I will have as board president, so I want to take advantage of the opportunity to just thank you for all of your support. Over the last few years, we've seen great growth and great revitalization in our area. Many more businesses are coming to the area, and many businesses that are existing there are having record year upon record year upon record year. So I just want to say thank you for all of your support.
Thank you for everything that you've done as president. You've had a lot of heavy lifting to do, and you have been an incredible president, incredible leader, and appreciate all that you do for the Valley Junction area, the Valley Junction businesses, and particularly our small businesses, because 2 out of every 3 jobs are provided by small business, and they're extremely important. So thank you for everything. Renee?
Yeah, Mo, I'd like to just also say thank you for, you showed leadership in times by which we needed all voices at the table. You chaired one of the biggest in community engagement committees that we convene, with lots of different opinions and lots of different thoughts. And so I really want to thank you for your leadership, because leadership is tough. You don't always make everyone happy, but you do it with professionalism and grace in difficult, troubling times. And so we thank you for everything that you've done.
Absolutely, it was my pleasure.
Anybody else on Citizens Forum? Okay, Jennifer, you thought of it.
I remembered.
All right. I do the same. I do this all the time. Go ahead.
So this parking lot will become a city parking lot, right? And, but there's not a lot of businesses down at that end. It's a lot of condos or townhouses, or not townhouses, apartments.
Apartments? Sure.
That they were told to provide their own parking. So that's just
Yeah.
my question. Is it for the apartments?
It's for parking in general in that area. We have heard comments from many of your neighbors, many of the people in your neighborhood association, as well as others about parking, many of the merchants about parking. They perceive there to be a parking problem, and with more of the apartments, they perceive that to be a worse problem. They've asked us to take a look at parking and try to address parking in spite of the fact that the people that did the study show that there's adequate parking at this point in time, but we do realize that there is a lot of success going on down there, a lot of new businesses moving in, a lot of businesses being rehabbed and expanded, a lot of activity down there. I've never seen Valley Junction this vibrant in any of the time that I've lived here, and so we are trying to be sensitive, and we are trying to look at accommodating parking down there. And this is one way to be able to do it. And, you know, if we can do something to save that house and relocate that house, that would be great as well.
Yeah, it's a cute 3-bedroom house.
it is.
1.5 baths.
It is. We will look at trying to do whatever we can.
So now you are listening to
Oh,
my neighbors.
No, we've always been listening to your neighbors. Just because we don't agree doesn't mean we didn't listen. We just maybe
Just
don't agree
listen.
sometimes, so. Thank you, Jennifer. Appreciate your comments. Anybody else for Citizens Forum? All right, Nick?
I take it you know me.
I don't know everybody in the audience, but I know a bunch of you guys.
Nick Woggy, 136 3rd Street. A month ago, one of the councilmen up here stated that he is against tearing down single-family homes in favor of development. I hope he comes forward, steps forward, does the right thing to vote no against S, just to be on the record. It may pass, may not, but I hope that councilman votes no for the record, just to be on the record. Also, according to, R, that this is being built in conjunction with the Cutler development on the corner. A month ago, Ted Omart came up here, asked about parking. Clyde Evans, Mike Hoffman, everyone said there's not an issue with parking. What happened in the last 30 days? Anyone? Jennifer started it. I don't know how many people have asked at the Historic Valley Junction Committee meetings, what's the vision? And I know Jack Hahn did at every meeting. I've been to some of the council meetings. That's been asked here. And if you were this far in the process, this was in the works during the committee meetings. Why wasn't that brought out then? Thank you. That's all I have to say.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Nick. Appreciate your comments. Anybody else for Citizens Forum? Okay, anybody online for Citizens Forum? Hit *6 to unmute yourself, not the pound sign, or the hashtag as young kids know it. Okay, hearing none, I will declare Citizens Forum closed. We'll now move on to item 3, Mayor, Council, Manager Report, Other Entities Update. I will recognize our Director of the Public Services Department first, Brett Hodney, for a recognition.
Thank you, Mayor. Brett Hodney, Public Services Director for the City of West Des Moines. Many of you know in our community we take winter maintenance very seriously. Each year there's a training event and a competition held at locations around the state. Typically it's in central Iowa and eastern Iowa. This year they moved it over to Council Bluffs. Next year we'll be hosting it at our Public Services West facility. As part of the event, they do a day-long training in snowplow operator training. They call it SPOT. And that training was developed by some of our own staff members and is now being utilized by other states. And so I have a great deal of pride in staff for putting that together. We work in conjunction with the Iowa American Public Works Association and N-Trans for Iowa State University to host this training. In the past, we've had some winners. I think about 3 years ago, we had the statewide winners that competed in the national competition out in Loveland, Colorado, and placed second out of 180 teams. So it's not only an element of competition, but it's training. This year, there were 30 teams from around the state in the single axle competition that competed against us and at the event. And we brought home the first place trophy. So I'd kind of like to have Brian Snyder, Derek Mookie come up here. Brian and Derek are two of our seasoned operators and have been with the department for several years and are leaders in our organization. They, along with placing first in the state in the single axle snowplow competition, there's also a skid loader competition and an end loader competition. And we use end loaders for both loading a lot of trucks and then also pushing snow and blowing snow. Derek placed second in that competition and Brian placed third. And then they have the overall competition and Derek placed second in that. It was tied for the total points, but they went by time to break it. So these two individuals, it's with a great deal of pride that I bring them to you tonight to recognize them. So, Mayor, if you wouldn't mind taking a picture with these two.
Yeah, absolutely. I do want to say, yeah, let's hear it. I do want to say, Brian and Derek, you guys are amazing. All you guys are amazing for the work that you do. You know, we're all bundled up at home and trying not to go out and travel, and you guys are making it safe for us to travel. Not only that, but I also had an opportunity to go to the Department of Transportation at the state and use one of their simulators to try plowing snow on the simulator. I don't know how many speed limit signs and various things I took out on the simulator. You don't want me behind the wheel there. I know Trevilian is pretty darn good, but, you know, you don't want me. Congratulations. I really appreciate all you guys do.
Yeah, Russ, with that being said, several years ago, I was invited, I think two years in a row, to participate in the celebrity competition on this snowplow rodeo, and it was held out at the fairgrounds. And I've driven vehicles with snowplows on it, trucks, had an International Scout that had a plow on it, but driving a single, that one was a single axle. These guys are doing tandem axles, so it's even bigger. But it was a single axle with the belly plow, the snow plow up front, and it is a challenge to do it on a closed course like that when all you're going to hit is pylons or whatnot. And for your crews to go out on the city streets when it's blowing snow, and there's vehicles parked, even though they're not supposed to be, there's vehicles parked on the street. And then you've got the mailboxes and the utility poles and everything else, fire hydrants, and how they can go and take the snow off of these roads with minimal, I'm not going to say with no damage, because when I was at Waterworks, yes, we had to fix a few hydrants that got hit, okay? But with minimal issues. And I don't know how many miles of roads we've got, Brett, but it's a bunch. So, yeah, my hat's off to you guys, because until you have sat in the seat of one of those snow plows, it's hard to imagine. And Rush, yeah, you did the simulator, but that was
tough enough.
Right, but, you know, and I was doing it in a summer day. These guys do it when, you know, in the dark, when the snow is blowing and all that. So, yeah, your crews are phenomenal.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. All right, council, if you want to come with me too, I want to get you guys all in this. We're all a team. Come on. We're all a team. Come on.
Let's give them a raise.
And they plow them down. Thank you, guys. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Congratulations.
I should also note that the Iowa APWA chapter will be financially sponsoring them to participate in the national event next year in Colorado. So
Oh,
again,
wow. Wow. Good luck on that. That's incredible. All right.
The next thing I want to do is I'd be remiss if I didn't recognize 3 other individuals I have here today, which I'd like to have come up. Kim Penniger, who's my administrative executive secretary down at work. Ron Weiss, who's one of our supervisors. He takes care of all the city streets. And Jeff Sherman, who takes care of unimproved roads and stormwater in our city. And some other things too. He gets tasked with traffic safety, all the signs and things. But to put an event on like this every year, there's a lot that goes into it. These 3 work diligently. Kim on the administrative side with registration and working with Intrans up at Iowa State, the behind-the-scene logistics of organizing this event. Ron and Jeff work a lot with the course, the rodeo course, setting that up and getting it all organized. And without the assistance of people like this, the competition wouldn't happen. Basically, for the last many years, West Des Moines has been very instrumental in making sure that this training event continues on. It's a tremendous event, not like I said, not only for training, but the competition side. But I just wanted to recognize these 3 for all their efforts of making this thing happen too. So.
Makes me proud that we're a leader in this area. This is such an important area, and we hear from residents if things aren't done right. So makes me proud that we're a leader in this area. Thank you guys for all that you do. Really appreciate it. Okay, we will start down here with the council reports with Councilman Lopes.
Here we go. So usually I don't have a lot to say up here, but today I'm going to talk for a little while. So I hope everybody has time to listen to me. I want to talk today a little bit about, it's interesting, it's the Human Rights Declaration we're going to do later today is pretty much in line with this. But, I want to talk about the food bank and the DMARC contract dispute and how that impacts the citizens of West Des Moines. As many of you are aware from the various news stories, the Food Bank of Iowa and the DMARC Food Pantry Network had been locked in a contract dispute from September through roughly November. November 2nd, the food bank terminated the DMARC contract. This is their business. I'm not going to go into the details of the why and the what at this point. However, this contract dispute and the termination of that contract negatively impacts West Des Moines residents. And I'm going to take some time today to illustrate how it's negatively impacting our residents. And I hope with my time I can move all of you to make some phone calls to both the food bank and DMARC to express your dissatisfaction with that. A little bit of background here. West Des Moines Human Services is the only municipally sponsored service organization of its type in the state. Technically, it's a 170C1 IRS-designated organization, which is essentially a municipally backed nonprofit. The city has set up West Des Moines Human Services to help the underserved community that lives here. They do a whole bunch of stuff. If you don't know what they do, I would encourage you to go see Althea down there. Althea, raise your hand in the back. She's our director for that and does an outstanding job. So West Des Moines Human Services 170C1, remember that piece. The Food Bank of Iowa is a entity that distributes food as a wholesaler throughout our community. They have individual right and access as the only organization in the state to distribute USDA protein, produce, milk, eggs. And they must do that through a 501c3 organization only. So West Des Moines Human Services 170C1, the food bank can only distribute to 501c3s. For the past 30 years, West Des Moines Human Services has used the DMARC Food Pantry Network as the proxy for that 501c3 distribution. And that is a relationship that's worked out great for the last 30 years. And so as a part of this contract dispute now, suddenly West Des Moines Human Services no longer has access to some of this food. There's a second piece of this. The food bank also manages through Feeding America something that's called a food rescue program, where local retailers, y'all go, wherever you go shopping for groceries, when that food gets ready to expire, those retailers donate that food for distribution to places like West Des Moines Human Services. It's called food rescue, and they donate to places like West Des Moines Human Services, which then gets that food in the hands of people who need that food, usually on the same day, sometimes the next day. But the biggest part of it is that food does not go to the landfill. It is used for people who need it. Until recently, Human Services, we've routinely picked up that food from local retailers. You all know who they are, Aldi, Hy-Vee, Starbucks, you name them. Any place there's food, we rescue that food and distribute it. Now, because of the contract dispute between the Food Bank of Iowa and DMARC, West Des Moines Human Services is negatively impacted and is seeing dwindling supplies of food rescue food available for the citizens in our city. Althea, do you want to come up? I want to showcase some data that I prepared for this meeting tonight. She's going to use the overhead projector.
I don't know how, is it just set it up here?
Yep, just set it there. We'll get it.
Might have to zoom it out a little bit.
I'm doing it. I got it.
Oh, you're doing it?
Yep.
Okay. Tell me to
It'll
stop.
focus.
Will it focus?
Can you do that too? Are you doing it, Ryan?
I'm trying.
It won't go anymore.
If I take my glasses off, maybe it'll be clear.
Well, we're gonna move forward anyway. Maybe Ryan can get it adjusted while it's there, but I can provide this data to anybody who's interested in it. Essentially, what you're looking at is the last few months of food rescue done by West Des Moines Human Services. Oh, here we go. We're starting to come in now. And you'll see this is the second half of 2022, July through November. And we've collected roughly on average around 8,500 pounds of food rescue food that gets distributed to people in need. But starting with the November 2nd Food Bank of Iowa termination of the DMARC contract, we don't get this rescued food, and it's slowly being transitioned away from our city. And so you can see that food is down approximately 50% as of the end of November. With inflation and with everything going on, I don't think there's going to be any less demand for this food, but our supply for citizens of West Des Moines is going down. Althea, I got a couple of questions for you if you'll come up. What do you expect the December numbers to look like for this?
Well, they'll be dwindling, probably half.
Half,
of
so
what we see in November.
2,500 pounds roughly if we're lucky? Okay. So how many households does Human Services serve on a daily basis in West Des Moines?
In our Anytime Food Pantry, we serve about 65 households every morning at 8:30.
Great. So that's 65 people every morning. I've spoken to the food bank about this many times. Their position is that, West Des Moines Human Services, those people that we're serving, they can simply just drive to another food bank who has that affiliation, right? But I don't know that that's always the case. So I think we're serving a contingent of folks who don't have transportation, right?
That's correct.
At their availability. We even have a small homeless community in town, and you're getting choked up. I'm getting choked up too, so don't do that to me. But they can't just drive across Polk County to another food bank, and so they rely on Human Services for that nutrition.
They very definitely do.
And it's their kids, it's their families, it's not just. I want to show you the second exhibit. Can you throw that one up? I got a second one here.
Help me, Ryan.
Just put the paper there. I got it.
So, Althea, can you come up and tell us what this is and where it came from?
This was at the Fast and Fresh on Grand, the new Fast and Fresh.
Yeah.
We developed a relationship there, and we're collecting food and food bank.
So what's happened here is the food bank's actively directing food that would have normally come to West Des Moines Human Services out of our city. And they're actively, I'm sure, this case is going to, I believe, New Virginia, Iowa, which is down I-35. And there's no doubt, I'm sure there's hungry people there too, but I don't know and understand the logic of redirecting this food that's just a half a mile away from Human Services that we would have picked up and distributed in West Des Moines out of our city. So that's what makes me unhappy about this whole situation. And there's other examples of this. As I mentioned, I've spoken to the food bank and DMARC on multiple occasions. I've asked both of them, their CEOs on multiple occasions, to come back to the table and renegotiate this contract. Just this weekend, I asked DMARC to reapply to become a food bank distribution partner, and they've told me they're considering that action. I've asked the food bank also on multiple occasions, starting on November 2nd, to help West Des Moines Human Services navigate the federal regulations preventing their distribution directly to West Des Moines Human Services. As of today, they've got no alternative actions that they can help us with, other than they told me, Doug, you really care about this, then I think you should start your own food pantry, which, you know, I have 3 businesses I'm trying to run. I am a city council person. I serve on half a dozen subcommittees. It's really not a good option for me. Plus, I'm on the board of West Des Moines Human Services. So I hope I don't have to explain the fallacy of logic with that. Ultimately, what this comes down to is West Des Moines, our citizens are impacted by this contract addendum impasse between the food bank and DMARC. Many of our citizens, our neighbors, our friends, they're not going to have enough food to eat over the holidays. That should make everybody in this room feel uncomfortable, because it makes me feel uncomfortable. I'm appalled that people whose mission it is to feed the hungry are willing to forego that mission because of what amounts to a political spat. I'd like to ask everybody in this room, council members, staff, citizens, call the food bank, call the DMARC, encourage them to come back. I've been talking to local CEOs in our town saying we need to do something here because it's not right that this is happening. And so ultimately what this comes down to is because of, this political spat, those in West Des Moines that have the least, they're suffering the most. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you, Althea.
Thank you.
That's the end of my report, Mayor.
Okay. I would just say, Doug, you've been out front. You're our liaison to West Des Moines Human Services. You've been out fighting this fight. And on behalf of all of us here, I can't tell you how much we all appreciate that. This is absolutely ridiculous. I just can't understand how 2 organizations that are supposed to be doing this and feeding people that are low income, that don't have food, would get into such a political spat that the people that it's their mission to serve, they're now suffering and not getting that food that they need. So I will say that because of everything that you've been doing, we do have a meeting, I think, with the Food Bank of Iowa. I have had a brief conversation with DMARC. I'm hopeful that they are going to come to their senses, both of them, and we're going to figure this out really quickly, because we can't afford to go much longer on this. This is just not right. So thanks for everything you're doing there. I really appreciate it. Kevin?
Nothing this time, Your Honor.
Okay, Renee?
Thank you, Your Honor. I want to also say I really appreciate Councilman Doug for really fighting his fight and fighting the fight for citizens that he cares about. So he had very early conversations with me about it, and I, too, am going to sit in on the meeting with the food bank. I think conversations are important, and I've also had lunch with the CEO of the food bank as well. So I think we all have an interest in making sure that our citizens are well served, and that food insecurity is still a mission and a passion for all of us here. So thank you. I just want to say I want to thank the West Des Moines Chamber for a phenomenal event last week to really celebrate the partnership with the city and also the members that make up the chamber. I think Catherine is still doing and continues to do and excels in so much of what she does, but it is about taking time to appreciate the donors that are investing in West Des Moines, that are appreciating the businesses that are investing in West Des Moines, and to be a part of that. It's just been, it was a delightful affair, and I really thank Catherine and her team for putting that donor recognition event together, because we want to show much love for the people that are helping Des Moines be the city that it is. It was really fun to be a part of the tree lighting. I know it sounds like it's fluff, but for a group of scouts that came out and lit the tree, I think they'll always remember that. They'll always remember that they turned the lights on in the tree that's right here to my left. And so I want to thank Park and Recs for putting together that event. Each year, someone else lights that tree, and to see the young people see the tree when it lights up, and to be there to see that and support the Parks and Recs is really delightful. So thank you, Sally. I think Sally, we know, is retiring. I think this is that was her last official tree lighting gathering. I'm sure she'll come to many, but in terms of orchestrating it, it was her last, and it was very, very beautifully done. I also want to take a moment of personal privilege to acknowledge one of the Human Rights Commissioners that is in the audience today, Shaima. Would you please stand? I do want to acknowledge Shaima for running to serve Bharat Launch Hospital. She ran a campaign to be a trustee. That means we might be losing her on the Human Rights Commission, but she ran a campaign to serve the underserved. She ran a campaign to serve a hospital that is a safety net hospital that treats and provides service to those that don't even have the ability to pay in most situations. So I want to thank you, Shaima, for your running a really good campaign and coming out to be a victor in that. And so she's right here in West Des Moines, in Polk County, serving the underserved. So congratulations to you. I also want to acknowledge, and I know there'll be a proclamation, but if I have an audience and a microphone, I don't want to lose an opportunity to thank the Human Rights Commissioners. I'd like them just to stand. I am a liaison to that particular commission. Would you guys stand? Please act like you know me, and please stand. And I want to thank the commissioners for being here tonight. There's a proclamation that the mayor will read, but human rights is their life, and making sure that West Des Moines recognizes this particular celebration and this particular moment in time. These are the folks that are the voices out there pushing West Des Moines and encouraging West Des Moines to be that city that speaks the talk. And you have to speak it out loud, and you have to bring it into existence. So I want to thank these commissioners for always keeping human rights in the forefront. So thank you so much, and it is an honor to be your liaison. It's an honor. That concludes my report, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Renee. Matt?
Yep, thank you, Mayor. Doug, I just want to echo the support that others have given you. I appreciate what you've done on this, and because of what you've done, I've engaged, connecting with DMARC and United Way and some local businesses. But it's because of your initially bringing this all to our attention. So we're there with you, and whatever we can do to be supportive. I got a letter in the mail this weekend about an upcoming meeting, so I'm looking forward to participating in that. I think you and the commission were part of putting that together. So I just thank you for what you're doing.
Okay, Greg?
Oh, yes, just a quick report. One, echoing, Doug, you're doing amazing work in regards to that. I know we're about to have the proclamation, but Human Rights Commission, you all are doing amazing work as well. And I think just what that tells me is that we have a group of people up here, out there in the entire community who are doing different things, but all of those things are making our community better. So I'm really, really grateful. I know Thanksgiving was last week, but still, I'm really, really thankful for so many people who are doing so many amazing things. That's it, Your Honor.
Great comments, appreciate it. Okay, Jamie? No report. Okay, I would just echo what Renee said. We had the mayor's tree lighting, and Parks and Rec always does a phenomenal job putting everything together. Sally's last tree lighting, really appreciate Sally Ortke's and all that she does for Parks and Rec. She's been an employee with the city of West Des Moines. I think she started as an intern way back when, and she's been here forever, and we are really going to miss her. But thank you to Parks and Rec and all Sally staff, everything that you guys did to make that a success. And to the Cub Scouts that are there, I was told by my wife that I confused all the 7 and 8-year-olds by saying, when I read your name, please raise your name instead of your hand. And so I apologize for that. But they were all super excited, and these 7 and 8-year-olds have been picking up trash and keeping Legion Park clean for the last year, and they really shined a light on our city. And so they were the ones that were there to light the Christmas tree. And it was just really a great event, and the weather cooperated with us and everything. So thank you to everybody that came out for that. And with that, we will move to item 4, consent agenda. Are there any items that any council person would like to pull? I would say that we are automatically going to pull 4W, the proclamation for human rights. I will read that, and I will ask the human rights commissioners who are here to come up after I read it and take a picture with the council. So
4S.
4S, I figured that was coming.
course you
Okay.
did.
Anything else, Matt?
Yep, 4G 1 and 2 and 4H 1.
Okay, 4G, 1 and 2, and 4H. You said 4H1, just 4H, right? We don't have a
I'm sorry, yeah.
4H? Okay. Anybody else? Okay, hearing none. I would take a motion to move the remainder of the items.
Move the remainder.
Is there a second? Okay, please vote.
5 yes.
Okay, 4G, 1 and 2, and 4H, I believe we can take those together. I understand you probably have conflict of interest with this?
Correct.
Okay. Is there somebody who'd like to move this?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, moved and second. Is there any comments like to be made at this time? No? Hearing none, please vote.
4 yes, 1 abstention due to potential conflict of interest.
Okay, 4S, it's our,
W first?
okay. Ryan, can we go out of order and move forward?
Sure can,
Okay,
yeah.
we're going to go to 4W first. Thank you for the suggestion, Councilman. Okay, 4W is a resolution or a proclamation for Human Rights Day, December 10th, 2022. Whereas on Saturday, December 10th, 2022, the international community unites to observe Human Rights Day and uphold the inalienable rights that all people are born free and equal in dignity and rights, Article 1, UDHR. And whereas on this day, 1948, the United Nations Assembly adopted the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, the historical document signed by 193 countries set out a broad range of fundamental rights and freedoms to which all persons are entitled, irrespective of income, nationality, or background. And whereas this great nation was founded on the revolutionary principles of liberty, equality, and justice, and although it has not always been the case for all, we must strive to actively uphold these ideas and insist on recognizing our shared humanity. And whereas we believe peace and justice prevail when people are free to speak, assemble, and worship, when their rights are protected, and when governments are accountable to their residents. These foundations of freedom are guaranteed in the Bill of Rights of our Constitution. And whereas I urge the residents of West Des Moines to commit to building a more just and inclusive community where every person is entitled to fair opportunity and equal rights, irrespective of age, race, class, gender, income, ability, sexual orientation, religion, language, veteran status, marital status, or any other identity, I emphasize the importance of protecting human liberty through our city, state, and nation. And whereas we have a special responsibility to advance the claims of the oppressed, to reaffirm the rights to life and liberty as fundamental rights upon which all others are based, and to safeguard the rights to freedom of thought, conscience, and religion. As we are free, we must speak up and advocate for those who are not. Now, therefore, I, Russ Trimble, Mayor of the City of West Des Moines, do hereby proclaim December 10th, 2022 as Human Rights Day. We call upon residents, city employees, and businesses of West Des Moines to uphold the rights of others and embrace the diversity of all residents and visitors in the City of West Des Moines. Signed this 5th day of December 2022. So if the Human Rights Commissioners would like to come up here, please, for a picture, I'd like to present this to you. And if the council would meet us down in front.
Mayor Trimble, real quick, can we also invite the students? So we have students here from Stillwell Middle School, junior high, as well as their instructors, if they can come join us.
Sure, come on up.
Come on. Parents as well. Parents, come on up. They didn't get here by themselves.
Who would like to accept this on behalf of the Human Rights Commission? Okay, first to accept this. As Renee so eloquently said, I appreciate everything, we all appreciate everything that you guys do as our Human Rights Commission to make sure that we are looking at everybody's rights, making sure that everybody has equal opportunity here, and that we are respecting diversity and trying to be as inclusive as we possibly can of everybody here to make sure that everybody has a chance to grow, thrive, and succeed in our city. So, Milton, if you want to say a couple words? Yes, please. Okay.
So this is a wonderful proclamation and a wonderful day we're going to herald. Much of who the Human Rights Commission is now is because of the vision of Renee, who serves as the liaison, and most especially Audrey, who's been on board for a little over a year. She has brought an awareness, a vision, the possibility of thinking outside the box and moving things along in an unbelievable way. She's always behind the scenes, never seeking personal aggrandizement. You are glorious. You are glorious. This trajectory, as Dr. King said, is a long trajectory towards justice. If you think about it, we're not there yet, but we're on our way. And it's unbelievable. My wife and I have just come back from a journey to various civil rights sites in the South. Me from Virginia, frequently speaking out, wanting to know why the church I went to, which was in a mixed neighborhood, had no black people there. Well, I was considered the oddball out. When I went to William and Mary, refused to join the fraternity, I was the oddball out. But that was okay then, and it's okay now. And so I salute all of you. We can all be more than what we've been. We can move this world to a better place. We do it one step at a time. Sometimes it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back, but we can make it. We can make it. We can make it. We can make it.
I'm sorry. I can be real bossy. Thank you. Sorry.
Milton, thank you.
Okay, now we need a motion to approve 4W.
So moved.
Second.
Second? Okay. Please vote.
Five yes.
Audrey, thank you for authoring that beautiful, beautiful proclamation. You do an amazing job. So, okay, we are now going to move to backwards here to item 4S and recognize Kevin. And I'm
Yes,
sorry,
thank you.
4S, let me read it. I'm sorry, I'm getting off here. 4S is a resolution for approval to initiate the purchase of 329 6th Street. Go ahead, Kevin.
All right, I'm not going to belabor what was already said during Citizens Forum. It was stated very well. One thing I do want to point out is the costs associated with this. The fixed costs that we know, $198,000 just to buy the house. To put in a parking lot, I'm estimating probably $300,000, and that might be low. For a dumpster enclosure, $75,000. Those costs right there are $573,000. Now, factor in the charges that the city will pay to disconnect the utilities. Sanitary sewer, water service, gas service. And then you've got the cost to remove the trees. We could be looking at upwards of $700,000 for a parking lot that, as Teska's told us over and over and over again is not needed. It's because of the 3 properties in close proximity to this that this is even being considered. We've already got a city-owned lot to the south, actually 2 of them. And I dare say that even if this parking lot gets built, the residents in those apartments will still park in the streets because it's closer to them. I do not know why our police department does not issue tickets down there between 2 a.m. and 6 a.m. as it's clearly posted in the area, but they do not. And that bothers me a lot. I don't think we should have to operate on complaints. If it's posted no parking, write the tickets. There are already lots they can park in. They choose not to. So putting this parking lot on the corner of 6th and Walnut isn't going to fix that problem. There's already lots close enough for them to park in. So again, I don't know why we're spending $700,000 estimated of taxpayer money on something that's not needed. If this passes, and it probably will, I strongly urge, and I sent an email to Tom Haddon last night and to the mayor, strongly urge that we put it out there that this house be offered to be moved. Free of charge, I'll give it away. Move it, put it on another lot in West Des Moines, and retain an affordable single-family house. There's nothing wrong with this house. It's in very good condition. It could easily be moved, and there's already other lots, empty lots, in the area that it could go on. I made this same suggestion for the house at 5000 Westwood when we widened 50th Street. Lo and behold, that house got moved, and it now resides at 8th and Maple. So there are people that are interested in taking these houses, putting them on a lot, and keeping affordable housing, single-family housing in West Des Moines.
Okay, I appreciate the comments, Councilman. I would say we did receive an email last night, right? From Councilman Trevilian requesting if we were going to do this, that we look into whether or not we could actually move that house. I think that is a great idea. We want to do what we can for affordable housing. If there is any chance that we could potentially move that house to another lot, I think that's an excellent idea. I'm not sure whether or not that could get done. There's a lot involved with that. The house that we had moved from 50th Street, I think, down to Valley Junction, it took a long time. It was difficult to move, wasn't cheap to move, but we were able to do it. With this, I'm not sure.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
If I can point,
I guess.
once you're done, I'm
I
happy
guess-
to share some thoughts, but Kevin, too.
I guess what I'd ask for tonight, and I think there's more discussion that needs to be had, but I would ask that we defer tonight and bring this back so that we can look to see whether or not that house can be moved. But I know there's other people would like to talk, so, but that's what I'm going to ask of tonight, is that we defer this to give a little bit more time to look into that. So,
Kevin, go ahead, and then I'll
one thing I
share.
want to point out, Russ, is that we didn't move the house at 5000 Westwood.
right,
We sold the house for,
right,
up for bid. I don't remember the exact number. I think it was like $10,000.
yeah.
Okay? The person that bought it moved the house. That's what I'm recommending on this one. But I don't even care if we make any money on this, because we will save money by giving the house away and having them move it. Because there's cost associated with demolition. I don't know, and I guess I didn't factor that one in. What is the cost to demolish a house and fill in the basement and all? I don't know. And that's what the property owner at South 50th and Westwood had to do. They had to move the house, take the foundation out, and fill in. We can have the same requirements. And I believe it's like $50,000 to move a house. I think that's what they paid for that one. Okay, it wasn't difficult. I watched the whole thing, and I've got it on recording video if you want to watch it, Russ. Okay, it's an interesting process. It was not difficult to do.
Right, but I
There's
heard,
multiple people that move houses all the time. There's buildings that get moved. There was one in Des Moines that got moved. I think it was like a 6 or 8 story brick building. They moved it without any issues. So there are people out there that would be interested in having this house and moving it. And I'm not saying that the city pay anything for it. Just give it away and make them level the ground if you folks choose to continue this path of parking lot.
yep. And on the last one, I was the representative from the 3rd Ward of the city where that house was located, and I heard from residents on a regular basis, when is that house going to be moved? We need that house out of here. The neighborhood doesn't look good with it sitting where it's sitting. When is that house going to be moved? And it took forever and a day to move that house, and they did it at 3 or 4 in the morning because while it can be done, it's not easy. And you got to have utility companies involved to make sure that what path needs to be taken and all kinds. It's not easy. It can be done. But that's why I'd ask tonight that we defer on this to look into that and see whether or not it can be moved, if that's even an option. Okay, that said, Greg, I think you wanted
Sure,
to.
Mr. Mayor. I do have a couple thoughts. So yes, this came through F&A, and I'm willing to defer this evening because it requires a lot more conversation. And if there's greater complexity, then I appreciate that. And then yes, we should absolutely defer this. But I did want to share some contextualization. And to offer that contextualization, I think Mr. Clyde Evans is going to share a couple of things, just some background about what kind of led to this, and I think that would be great to hear if you could provide some of that background on just kind of how this came to us, how this came up, because, you know, it is interesting because we hear both sides of this, and I think everybody's aware of the sides we've heard. We need more parking. Well, we have enough parking. And all of these things kind of come into an intersection where it provides some difficulty, but I, of course, think we should defer now that we've been hearing this, and I think that's great to hear. Anyway, Clyde, could you share some more with us?
Sure. The property in question, the property owner approached the city about potential acquisition of the property. We had previously worked with the previous owner on potential purchase of the property, but he decided he did not want to sell. The long-term plan had been that there would be a parking lot throughout this area, basically incorporating the existing city lot as well as the lot to the north of it, this house lot, and then the lot the city owns on the corner.
Can you repeat that last sentence one more time just to make that clear?
Yeah. The city had basically a long-term plan that incorporated this the parking lot that's presently there north of the church.
Mm-hmm.
There's another lot that the city had there, incorporate also the house lot and then the lot the city owns to the north. The long-term plan was that this would all be developed into parking.
Mm-hmm. Can you remind me of that building that's just to the south of this property in question? It has that.
That's a church.
Not the Destiny Church, on the north side of that existing parking lot there. Or I might not have an updated map too. So hold on. I was just, and that's why maybe.
Basically from Walnut, you have a vacant lot the city owns, you have this property, you have another lot, you have a city parking lot, there's a church, and then there's another city parking lot.
Okay, there we go. All right, thank you. Sorry, I was looking at the map wrong. I appreciate that. So to be clear, the property owner approached the city.
Correct.
And I think that's an important distinction to be made. And like I said, I'm willing to defer it, but given the complexities of this, I will make a motion that we defer.
Okay, there's a motion's been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any further discussion?
And during this time of deferral, I know that there are folks in the audience who've spoke up. Please continue to communicate with us because we do want to hear more about your perspectives. So it's important to us.
Okay, thank you, Greg.
I do have a question. Did I hear you, did you say that the property owner came to West Des Moines?
I believe that's
for
what
the
Clyde said.
sale?
If I
Is that
misheard
what-
them, then I absolutely apologize.
The property owner.
Doug, you're
approached
part of
the city.
F&A as well, and was that part of your decision-making?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so it's, the property owner approached the city of West Des Moines, but this was in our long-term plan. When you talk about long-term plan, where does the long-term plan come from?
There was a parking study that was done for basically 4th Street and 6th Street.
Okay.
And the city's been implementing it over a period of time. When
Okay.
properties become available, we've acquired them. That's why we have the vacant lot to the north of this house.
Okay.
Similar situation is over on Maple, just to the west of the little commercial center. We acquired a house there to
Yeah.
expand that parking lot. And again, that was part of the overall plan that had been
Okay.
developed for parking.
And remind me, Clyde, because all of a sudden now we're hearing everybody say there's no parking issues. They're agreeing that there's no parking issues. Before that's all we heard about, how there are parking issues, and I don't believe the consultant study. And we've heard that from, I think for sure Nan's Nummies had an issue with the parking, and there were a number of others. And all of a sudden now, it's radio silence. Am I remembering that right, that there were people that were not only saying that there were parking issues, but that they didn't even believe, even though we sent out human beings to literally sit there with a clicker and count, they didn't believe that and thought there were more problems. They were worried about their businesses and people frequenting the businesses and all kinds of things. Am I remembering that right?
That is correct.
Okay. All right. So thank you, Clyde. I appreciate it. All right. So we've got.
Point of order. I believe what they were talking about was that the apartment people that are parking on the streets for hours and hours or days on end, blocking the parking lot, there's parking, on-street parking stalls for the various businesses. They weren't talking about the parking lots themselves. They were trying to get the cars off the streets from the apartments into the lots, but that has not happened. Wasn't that we don't.
Do we have a way to prohibit people that live in the apartments from parking on public parking in the street?
Yeah, between 2 and 6 a.m., and it's not enforced.
But that's not the time period that they were worried about. It was during business hours, Kevin.
I understand that, but again,
Okay.
there are parking lots, they're just not parking in them. Now, how do you make somebody park in a parking lot when they legally can park on the street? I have no idea. But I do know that maybe if we issued tickets between 2 and 6, that would make them think twice about parking out there. You know, I never forget, when Mr. Cutler was going to build the building south of St. Kilda's, he told me, because I asked him, where are they going to park? I said, they can't park on the street between 2 a.m. and 6 a.m. or they're going to get a ticket. Where are they going to park? And he told me, the people that live here won't have cars. And I said, really? And he said, yes. They will be taking buses or they will be riding bikes or whatever. He says, it's not going to be a problem. He says, the few that maybe would have, he said, they won't have a problem parking in the city lots. I didn't believe him then, and it was proven that I was right.
Well, I think there's a number of things that we need to look at if we're going to be addressing parking. This is one of them. Looking at, as Ralph came up with an idea, the use of city lots and some kind of a permit. Can't require that, but I think there's a number of things we need to look at, but this is certainly one of them. So, all right, there's a motion to defer. There's a second. Please vote.
Five yes.
And I'd say we did not have a time certain on that deferral. My thought was to bring it back at the next council meeting, so.
That's the idea.
Okay,
Sounds good.
okay. Thank you for that. Okay.
Your Honor, I have to leave right now to go
Okay.
to a
Yep.
funeral visitation and
I
service. So.
understand, I understand. All right, take care. All right, moving on, item 5, old business. Item 5A, Galleria, northwest corner of Mill Civic Parkway and South 60th Street, amend the signage regulations within the Galleria specific plan ordinance, the Wayland Family Limited Partnership, and Horizon Galleria LLC. We've got an ordinance for consideration or approval of the second reading, waiver of the third, and adoption in final form. There are no outstanding issues and no changes from the previous reading, which was approved unanimously by Planning and Zoning and the City Council at the last meeting.
Move for consideration of the second reading.
Okay, is there a second? Okay, any discussion? Okay, hearing none, please vote.
Four yes, an ordinance amending the city code of the city of West Des Moines, Iowa, 2019, and ordinance numbers 1567, 1920, 1925, 2167, 2482, and 2515 pertaining to plan unit development district regulations and guidelines.
Move to approve the second reading.
Okay, is there a second? Who seconded?
Second.
Okay, please vote.
Four yes.
Move to waive the third reading and adopt in final form.
Second.
Okay, please vote.
Four yes.
Okay, item 5B, ordinance amendment, amend Title IX zoning to modify regulations pertaining to fences within footprint lots, Caliber, Iowa LLC. We've got an ordinance for approval of second reading, waiver of the third, and adoption in final form. There's no outstanding issues and no change from the previous reading. And like the last item, this was approved by both Planning and Zoning and the City Council unanimously. Can I get a motion to consider the second reading?
So move.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, hearing none, please vote.
Four yes, an ordinance amending the city code of the city of West Des Moines, Iowa, 2019, Title IX zoning, Chapter 7 setback and bulk density regulations, and Chapter 14 accessory structures pertaining to regulations for fences within footprint lots.
Okay, can I get someone to move approval of second reading? Renee?
So move.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, please vote.
Four yes.
Okay, Renee, you want to move waiver of the third and adoption of final form?
Move waiver of the third and adopt in final form.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All right, please vote.
Four yes.
Okay, item 5C, amendment city code, amend Title 4, Health and Safety Regulations, Chapter 10, Maintenance and Foreclosing Properties, Section 3, Registration Requirements, subsection A, to change which department within the city registers foreclosure properties. We have an ordinance again for approval of the second reading, waiver of the third, and adoption in final form. There are no outstanding issues, and this is no change from the previous reading. And again, this was adopted unanimously by the city council at our last meeting.
Move consideration of the second reading.
Okay, is there a second? Okay, any discussion? Okay, please vote.
Four yes, an ordinance amending the city code of the city of West Des Moines, Iowa, 2019 by amending Title 4 Health and Safety Regulations, Chapter 10, Maintenance of Foreclosing Properties.
Move approval of the second reading.
Second.
Okay, please vote.
Four yes.
Move to waive the third reading and adopt in final form.
Second.
Okay, please vote.
Four yes.
Okay, item 5D, we've got a resolution for approval, we approve a resolution clarifying city council action of November 7th, 2022 regarding the historic West Des Moines design guidelines. We've essentially got a resolution clarifying and reaffirming that the design guidelines that were adopted previously apply to the entire historic West Des Moines area, including the transition zones, but that the zoning for these transition zones will be considered at a later date. There are no outstanding issues here, and this was approved last time, I believe, 4-1, with Councilwoman Hardman voting no. Okay, does somebody want to move approval of the resolution?
Oh, let's clarify what I voted on,
Sure.
just so the vote.
I'm
that
just
was
stating
one.
that you
Yeah.
voted, you can do that if you want during this
right.
discussion.
Right,
That's
but-
just standard procedure.
Yeah, I
You voted-
understand.
You voted no. Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine. That's all I'm
But what
saying.
we're voting for is the
Yes.
same thing that others voted no for that we're coming back to.
We're just clarifying
Okay.
this. Correct, correct.
Just want to make that clear.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, do you want to clarify?
No, I think I've clarified. I
Okay.
voted in
I
a
think you believe in keeping
position.
these together and
Right.
voting in favor of
Right.
them together. both
And
of
this
them.
is what this vote,
This
partly
vote,
does.
This vote partly does it. It
Yeah,
does not
that's
keep
what I
the whole
thought.
thing together. The zoning
Okay.
will be
Okay.
But the
decided at a
guidelines
later
are all
date, but the
together.
guidelines are
Yes.
put into the transition zones.
Yep.
Okay. All right. With no further discussion, please vote.
4 yes.
Okay, item 6, public hearings. Item 6A, this is the time and place for a public hearing to consider Cosgriff property northeast and southeast corners of South 88th Street and Stagecoach Drive, amend the comprehensive plan land use map, and amend the zoning map to establish neighborhood commercial, medium-density residential, and high-density residential land use and zoning, initiated by Sunset Company LC. Ryan, would you please read the date notice is published?
November 18th, 2022 in the Des Moines Register.
And have we received any written comment to this hearing?
The Plan and Zoning Commission, by a vote of 7 yes, adopted a resolution recommending approval of the comp plan amendment and rezoning request.
Okay, this is a time for anybody from the audience who would like to address the council on item 6A. Please come to the podium, give us your name and address for the record. Please be respectful, please be civil, and try to keep it under 5 minutes. And anybody online that would like to address council, hit *6 to unmute yourself and do the same. Okay, seeing and hearing nobody, I will declare the public hearing closed. We've got a resolution for approval of the comprehensive plan amendment and an ordinance for approval of the first reading. We've got to take these separately. There are no outstanding issues here, and Development and Planning approved this as well unanimously at their July 5th meeting. Can I get a motion to approve the resolution?
So moved.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, hearing none, please vote.
Four yes.
Okay, now we've got an ordinance for approval of the first reading.
Move for consideration of the first reading.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, please vote.
Four yes, an ordinance amending the official zoning map of the city of West Des Moines, Iowa, 2019 by amending Title IX zoning, Chapter 4 zoning districts and maps.
Move for approval of the first reading.
Second.
Okay, please vote.
Four yes.
Okay, item 6B, this is a time and place for a public hearing to consider Mills Landing, 850 South 60th Street, amend comprehensive plan land use map to designate as single-family residential and move parcel from Mills Landing specific plan to Glen Oaks planned unit development initiated by Cameron General Contractors. Ryan, would you please read the date the notice is published?
November 18th, 2022 in the Des Moines Register.
Okay, have we received any written comments to this hearing?
The Plan and Zoning Commission, by a vote of 7 yes, adopted a resolution recommending approval of the comp plan amendment, specific plan amendment, and PUD amendment.
Okay, anybody from the audience who would like to address the council or online that would like to address the council on item 6B, please come to the podium, give us your name and address for the record. If you're online, hit *6 to unmute yourself. Okay, seeing and hearing no one, I'll declare the public hearing closed. This time, we've got a resolution for approval of the comprehensive plan amendment. We've got an ordinance for approval of the first reading, the Mills Landing specific plan, and an ordinance for approval of the first reading of the Glen Oaks PUD. We've got to take these all separate. I will ask for a motion first for approval of the resolution on the comprehensive plan amendment.
Motion to approve the resolution.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, please vote.
Four yes.
Motion to consider the first reading of that Mills Landing specific plan.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, please vote.
Four yes, an ordinance amending the official zoning map in the city code of the city of West Des Moines, Iowa, 2019 by amending Title IX zoning, Chapter 9 Plan Unit Development District pertaining to PUD district regulations and guidelines to amend PUD number 129 Mills Landing specific plan.
Motion to approve the first reading of the Mills Landing specific plan.
Second.
Okay, please vote.
Four yes.
Okay, now we've got an ordinance for approval of the first reading of the Glen Oaks PUD.
Motion for consideration of that first reading.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, please vote.
Four yes, an ordinance amending the official zoning map in the city code of the city of West Des Moines, Iowa, 2019 by amending Title IX zoning, Chapter 9 Plan Unit Development District pertaining to PUD district regulation and guidelines to amend PUD number 30 Glen Oaks.
Motion to approve that first reading.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, please vote.
4 yes.
Okay, item 6C, this is a time and place for a public hearing to consider Wells Fargo solar right-of-way vacation generally located along north side of Stagecoach Drive, just east and north of the intersection of Stagecoach Drive and East Wells Fargo Trail. Vacation of a portion of right-of-way initiated by Wells Fargo Bank National Association. Ryan, would you please read the date the notice is published?
November 21st, 2022, in the Des Moines Register.
And have we received any written comments to this hearing?
The Planning and Zoning Commission, by a vote of 7 yes, adopted a resolution recommending approval of the vacation request.
Okay, anybody from the audience or online that would like to address the council on item 6C, please come to the podium, give us your name and address for the record, or hit star 6 to unmute yourself and give us your name and address for the record. Okay. Seeing and hearing no one, I'll declare the public hearing closed. We have got an ordinance for approval of the first reading. There are no outstanding issues, and I know this came through Development and Planning this morning. Someone want to move?
For consideration of the first reading.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
You know, I really like this, the flexibility that we have. There was supposed to be a driveway or a roadway that connected to the road there, but instead Wells Fargo decided to build a large, lots of solar panels there, which they don't need that road anymore. And I think it's really, really nice that our city's willing to work with Wells Fargo and create a nice solution because, well, we don't need the road and the solar panels are pretty cool. So happy to vote for this.
Absolutely, I agree. Okay, any other comments before we vote? Okay, hearing none, please vote.
Four yes, an ordinance of the City of West Des Moines, Iowa, vacating an approximately 10,130 square foot parcel generally located east and north of the intersection of Stagecoach Drive and East Wells Fargo Trail.
Move for approval of that first reading.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, please vote.
4 yes.
Okay, item 6D, this is a time and place for a public hearing to consider amendment number 1 to the University Avenue Corridor Urban Renewal Area initiated by the City of West Des Moines. Ryan, would you please read the date the notice is published?
November 25th, 2022, in the Des Moines Register.
And have you received any written comment to this hearing?
None, Your Honor.
Okay, anybody from the audience or online that would like to address the council on item 6D, please come to the podium, give us your name and address for the record, or hit star 6. Okay, seeing no movement and hearing no one, I will declare the public hearing closed. We've got a resolution for approval of the Urban Renewal Plan Amendment. There are no outstanding issues, and this came through Finance Administration unanimously at their November 3rd meeting. Somebody want to move?
Motion to approve.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, please vote. I would note that we've got Chris Shires out here from Confluence, who I think has worked on this project, and appreciate all that he's done on this.
4 yes.
Thank you for waiting for me to say that. Okay, moving on to item 6E. This is the time and the place for a public hearing to consider South Service Area Segment 8 sewer initiated by the City of West Des Moines. Ryan, would you please read the date the notice was published?
November 25th, 2022, in the Des Moines Register.
And have we received any written comment to this hearing?
None, Your Honor.
Okay, anybody from the audience or online that would like to address the council on item 6E, please come to the podium, give us your name and address for the record, or hit star 6 to unmute yourself and give us your name and address. Okay, hearing and seeing no one, I'll declare the public hearing closed. We've got 2 resolutions and a motion, which we can take at the same time, and there are no outstanding issues.
So move.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, please vote.
Four yes.
Okay, item 6F, this is the time and the place for a public hearing to consider digital enterprise private streets conduit deployment initiated by the City of West Des Moines. Ryan, would you please read the date the notice was published?
November 25th, 2022, in the Des Moines Register.
And have you received any written comment to this hearing?
None, Your Honor.
Okay, anybody from the audience that would like to address the council on item 6F, you know what to do by now. Come up to the podium, give us your name and address for the record. Anybody online, hit star 6 to unmute yourself. Is there anybody that would like to address the council? Okay, seeing and hearing no one, I'll declare the public hearing closed. We've got two resolutions and a motion. There are no outstanding issues, and we can take these all together.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion at all? Okay, hearing none, please vote.
Three yes, one abstention due to potential conflict of interest.
Okay, item 7, new business, item 7A. Banks Landing Plat 1, northwest corner of Boonville Road and South 88th Street, approved final plat to create 27 lots for single-family development, 2 outlots and 1 street lot. Black Oak Real Estate Properties LLC. We have a resolution for acceptance of surety for the completion of public improvements and the approval and release of the final plat. There are no outstanding issues. I would just note that there are a number of items that we are accepting in approving the resolution, including easements, legal documents, and surety for various public improvements that are listed down below in your pinky.
All right, so moved.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, hearing none, please vote.
Four yes.
I should mention, anybody in the audience or online that would like to address the council on any of these with new business, feel free to come up. Just make sure, I'll look to make sure that I see you. Okay, item 7B, Timber Knoll at the Preserves, Plat 2, southwest corner of Southwest Grand Prairie Parkway and Southwest Meadow Rose Avenue, approved final plat to create 15 lots for single-family development and 2 street lots. Raccoon River Land Company, LLC. We've got a resolution for acceptance of public improvements and approval and release of the final plat. There are no outstanding issues, and there are a number of items that we will be accepting when we approve this resolution, including surety for installation of landscape buffers and sidewalks, a deed for lots A and B, and legal documents to establish public easement for various items, just to name a few. Okay, it's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, hearing none, please vote. Yours didn't take. There you go. Oh.
Four yes.
Okay, item 7C, R2 Financial, 901 South 50th Street, approved site plan to allow construction of an office building, R2 Holdings LLC. We've got a resolution for approval of the site plan. There are no outstanding issues. This item was approved unanimously by both Planning and Zoning and the Development and Planning Subcommittee. Does somebody want to
Motion to approve.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, please vote.
Four yes.
Okay, item 7D, Microsoft Osmium, 5855 Southwest Cary Street, approved major modification to site plan to allow installation of a temporary storage tent, Microsoft Corporation. We've got a resolution for approval of the major modification of the site plan. There are no outstanding issues, and again, this was approved unanimously by both Planning and Zoning and Development and Planning, and we've got 3 conditions of approval associated with this, all relating to essentially putting up and taking down of the temporary tents.
Motion for approval.
Okay, is there a second? Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, please vote.
Four yes.
Okay, item 7E, the reserve, vacate storm sewer easement and accept a new storm sewer easement, NJREC Inc. and RPACT LC. We've got a resolution for approval of vacation request and acceptance of storm sewer easement, and there are no outstanding issues.
Motion for approval.
Is there a second? Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, please vote.
Four yes.
Okay, item 7F, University Avenue corridor, University Avenue from 22nd Street to I-35 and I-235 to University Avenue. Approval and acceptance of the University Avenue corridor study, City of West Des Moines. We have got a resolution for approval and acceptance of the University Avenue corridor study. There are no outstanding issues, and this was approved by Planning and Zoning unanimously, and Chris Shires is a great human being. Can I get a motion to approve the resolution?
Motion to approve that resolution.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion, a second.
And-
Thank you, and we've got a citizen that would like to speak on this
Yeah.
item. Go ahead.
Coming up on the
Second
last
time
one.
only.
Orion Nauman, 4900 Pleasant Street, Unit 6. So just south of this area, so I thought it was interesting.
Sure.
Just would like to point out that the rejection of the Ashworth Trail a few weeks ago kind of impacts this in that it kind of rejects bicycle paths going north-south to this area from the southern part of West Des Moines. Some of those paths include 28th Street, 42nd Street to 39th Street, and 22nd Street to 19th Street. However, there is still opportunity for Valley West Drive and 50th Street to connect to these, so please keep that in mind.
Absolutely.
And then it also mentions walkability, and I think that is also important, just to, especially crossing University, as it says, as 50th and University is only one side you can cross. And it mentions walkability about walking around buildings. And I think we have some examples of passageways in the city that are really beneficial. For example, Limelight in Valley Junction is in a passageway, and there's one on the southeast corner of 60th and Ashworth, the covered one that I've seen. And then also suggest multifamily residential. I like that suggestion as well, just to be able to get people to live next to where they might conduct business. And I live in multifamily, so
sure,
that's fine. And then lastly, it mentions roundabouts to help with traffic coming off the interstate. And I think that would be beneficial just to be, in my mind, roundabouts are more resilient than traffic lights. So just thought I would bring attention to those points in this.
We really appreciate your comments and always attending the city council meetings. You know, those roundabouts, so many people hate those roundabouts, but the more you get used to them, the more you like them.
Oh, yeah.
I really don't think they're that bad either, and I think that's a good suggestion. We'll see what happens when we go to develop this area, but I really don't mind them. I think they're a great thing for moving traffic. So thank you for your comments. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Okay. Any discussion?
Yeah, the one thing that you brought up, which I really appreciated, was the point of bicycle accessibility. And, you know, as I was looking through this 229-page document, on page 154, described what the existing level of service was when it comes to bicycle accessibility. But I think there are great opportunities because, you know, after the action that the council did take with regard to Ashworth Road, connectivity to especially the Greenbelt Trail up McClive is important, and this corridor could potentially allow for that. And I think on page 153, it kind of speaks to that a little bit, or 154 or 148. I don't know, the PDF and the actual page number is a little bit different. But so as we continue with this corridor study, I really do want to encourage the folks who are considering it to consider how we would connect with, I guess, over there by Cool Basil and where that kind of connects to the trail up in the Clive system. So anyway, thank you.
Yep. Great comments. Anybody else? Any other comments before we vote?
Yeah, Mayor, I'd just say I appreciate all the work that's gone into this. I know, as Councilman Hudson referred to, there are 229 pages of information here. It's dense, but there's, you know, it's important because there's been a lot of change in this area, and I'm glad to see that we're spending some time trying to find a vision for where we go. And I was excited to see, you know, earlier tonight we had the West Bank item on the agenda. That's obviously a really important step in the right direction, and seeing the good work that's been done here, I'm excited to see where it goes. I know this is not binding, you know, but it certainly sets us down a trajectory.
Gives us great suggestion for development of this area. And I would just say, I've already had some initial conversations with some developers that are interested in looking at redeveloping the Valley West Mall area. They asked if the city was interested in participating in that, and my comment to them is, yes, but you better knock our socks off. So we are looking at this area. We're focusing on this area, and I can't wait to work to redevelop this area and make it vibrant once again. So I appreciate all the work that's gone into this study. I know Clyde Evans and his department, and again, Chris Shires, who I've mentioned several times now, and his company have done a great job on this study, and a lot of work has gone into it. So thank you, everybody, for all the work you've put into it. Okay. Without any other comments, please vote.
Mayor, sometimes it looks like I have something to say, but
Oh,
it's just me
yeah, I know.
looking at you optimistically.
I know, same, right back at you, right back at you. Okay, take it away, Ryan.
4 yes.
All right, great. This is a fun council, if you haven't figured that out. We have a good time up here, and that's for sure.
Most of the time.
Most of the time. We enjoy what we do. We love the city. We have a great time. So, all right, item 8, receive, file, and or refer. There are no items to receive, file, or refer. Item 9, other matters. Are there any other matters any council person would like to raise at this time and keep staff and all these good people here longer?
We have a workshop, right?
Okay, right. Hearing none, I will declare the meeting adjourned, and we